Hi everyone, it's Ashley, and I just wanted to make this video about either a girlfriend, a friend, well, mainly girlfriend I would say, because you know this whole thing is from my perspective, but I guess a couple things that I say and a couple tips that I give could also, you know, imply to friends, family, you know. I'm hoping that this video will give tips and help a lot of girls ease their way through when their boyfriend is in boot camp. So I'm awfully new to this whole military being an army girlfriend, this whole thing. It all came to me pretty fast because, you know, I'm new to all of this, so kind of along the way I'm learning more and more about everything as time goes by. I know when my boyfriend was first going to boot camp, I did everything I could to see how to survive boot camp and how to get through it and what to do so it could fly by faster. And I just kind of want to give my perspective and how things went and my experience was when my boyfriend was in boot camp. So I want to give a couple tips on how you can get through boot camp and the things I did that helped me get through this whole phase of my boyfriend being in boot camp. So one thing I do want to say is that time will fly by. I cannot tell you enough how much one day would come to another and I'd be like, holy crap, my boyfriend's been in for like a month already. Wow, time flies. Oh my god, my boyfriend's been in for 2 months already. Wow, the time really flies by. And as much as it feels like it's gonna be forever, I promise you it won't. It will go by super fast, and by the time you know it, your boyfriend's gonna be out. So that's one thing to definitely look forward to, is that time will fly by. You know, I thought that it was gonna feel like forever. I dreaded the day that my boyfriend was gonna leave. But, you know, we got through it. It was actually I would say it was actually a good experience in my perspective, because it did change our relationship in a good way. We did take everything much more serious than it was before. So it was definitely one thing that did make our relationship a lot stronger. Again, time just flies by. It doesn't wait for anybody, and next thing you know it, your boyfriend's gonna be graduating. I know for me, the time definitely flew by. My boyfriend has already graduated boot camp and he is now deployed. So the time definitely flew by for me. It's been quite crazy, but you know, nothing I can't handle. So one tip that I do want to give is keep yourself constantly busy. I know before my boyfriend left, we did spend a lot of time together. We spent as much time together as we could because we knew that he was going to be leaving for quite a while, and it was going to be a couple months that we didn't get to really speak or see each other. One tip that I do want to give is constantly keep yourself busy. You know, with my schedule, I had school, I had work, and then I went to the gym, and that was an everyday thing, you know, except for weekends because I didn't go to college on weekends. But I did sometimes work on the weekends. Just depends on, you know, what you're doing. And that was my constant schedule. It was go to school, go to work, gym. Go to school, go to work, gym. Every single day. Maybe a couple times I would miss the gym a little bit, but you know, I still did my share. I still went as much as I could. It was just something that just made my days go by a lot faster because I kept myself busy. I had stuff to do. And it's not the best to just sit at home all day and be sad about your boyfriend being gone. I know it sucks and it's not something easy to go through, but you don't want to be thinking about it constantly because it's going to tear you apart and it's going to make you sad. And that's not something that you want to do. You don't want to sit at home all day and just be sad about it. You know, you want to keep everything as positive as you can and have a good outlook on everything and how everything is going. I can't really say much for keep yourself busy. I would talk a lot more, but keep yourself busy basically explains itself, you know. Don't sit at home all day and cry about it. And don't worry, there's nothing wrong with being home and just wanting to cry for a day and just being sad, because I had those nights and I had those days too where I didn't want to do anything and I just wanted to sit at home and cry and be sad. There's nothing wrong with that, believe me. You need to let it out somehow, but just don't make it a routine where it's an everyday thing that you stay at home and just stay sad. Definitely create a routine where you go to work, go to school, you know, go to the gym. Just do something. I don't know what else to say for that one, but because it is self-explanatory, have something to do. Don't just sit at home, and that's mainly what I can say for that one. Another thing I want to talk about is communication with your boyfriend. That is going to be probably one of the hardest parts of this whole thing, because you won't get to speak to them as much as you did before. And like I had said, I did spend a lot of time with my boyfriend before he left, so that being like cut off and not being able to speak to him every day and knowing how he is was pretty tough. And it sucks and it's really hard to go through, but it's not something that's not doable. And you know, when they're at boot camp, they get their stuff taken away and they're not able to call every day and be like, hi babe, how are you? Hi babe, how are you doing? You know, sometimes here and there I would receive phone calls from him, but it was very rare. The only time that I knew that I was possibly going to receive a phone call from him was at the end of each phase. I know for my boyfriend's boot camp, there was about, I think it was 3 different phases, and at the end of each phase, he got to get a call home. And usually that was about at the end of every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks, I would keep my phone close to me, or that weekend, I would keep my phone by me 24/7, and I made sure I did not miss that call, because if you miss that call, I'm promising you right now, you ain't gonna get a call back, and you won't be able to call back. And it sucks, and sometimes if you do miss a call, it's not the end of the world. You were probably busy, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you missed a call, it was an accident, and don't kill yourself over it if you missed a call. It was not something that was intended. Unless you're doing something strange for a little piece of change, then girl, I don't know what to tell you. But anyways, one thing I do want to say is those calls do not last long. I would say those phone calls, I would say, are like 2 or 3 minutes long. You do not get much time to speak with your boyfriend. It's a quick, hi, I'm doing okay, call you later, bye, hang up. You know, it's not a, have you been, what's going on? It's not like that. It's just a quick phone call, fast. If you get lucky, you get 5 minutes, if you get lucky. But it's very rare. You usually only get 3 minutes, 2 minutes just to speak. You know, they get to tell us they're fine, everything's going good, and they hang up. That was definitely hard, you know, not being able to speak to him for as long, but at the same time, you got a phone call, you got to speak to your boyfriend after weeks. So always look at it as a positive outcome, no matter what. Always looking at it as in, wow, I got to speak to him today, and I got to know how he was today. Another thing that falls under communication is something that I want to bring up, that are letters. Letters are one of the most important things, I would say, that come through boot camp, because it is the only way that you get to communicate with your boyfriend, and it is the only way that you get to tell him about things that are going on, you know? I know when my boyfriend was at boot camp, I tried to write to him as much as I could. I tried to write to him every single day, but with my schedule with work and with school, it was always hard to get to the post office on time or to be able to write out a letter, because I was always constantly busy. But I did write to him as much as I could. I wrote to him either every other day or every other 3 days, because at the end of the day, whenever your boyfriend does receive those letters, it makes them really happy. It gives them 2 minutes out of their day of not having to think about being at boot camp while they're reading that letter. So that's why I constantly try to write to my boyfriend as much as I could, you know. And my letters were pretty lengthy. I always wrote him at least 3-page letters, but that's because I always had something to talk about. I always just said whatever, and that's definitely one thing that also gets hard. Sometimes you may run out of things to talk about, but I definitely just talked about random things because you just want to get boot camp off their mind for those 2 seconds. So I would talk about something funny I saw at Walmart, or, you know, something stupid that happened at Target, something like that, you know, just to get their minds off of it. Another thing that I did do in my letters is every single time that I wrote to him, at the end of my letters, I wrote something motivational. I said, babe, you got this, keep your head up, keep pushing, only 27 more days until graduation, only 15 days until graduation. You know, it was always at the end to keep him motivated. So every single time he read that letter, he was reminded, I'm motivated for a reason. I have to stay motivated for a reason. And he even told me once he came out of boot camp that those motivational messages definitely helped him at the end. Another thing I also did do is I made him open win letters. I sent it to him in a little package, and I sent him, it was like 15 open win letters, like open when you're sad, open when you're happy, open when you need motivation, open when you miss me. And it's definitely something that made him happy, so I'm glad that I took the time to make that. Letters are definitely a great way to stay communicated. Always try to write him as much as you can, because like I said, it's something that they can read that'll take their mind off of being at boot camp for just 2 minutes. So another thing that I want to add on about letters is that receiving letters is going to be a lot more different than sending out letters, only because, you know, they are a lot more busy and they do have a lot more things to constantly be doing, so it's a lot more harder for them to be able to write a letter to you. Don't ever take that personal. Don't ever think that they're not writing to you. Don't ever think that they stopped loving you. Don't ever think that they're forgetting about you. It's definitely just time-wise. When my boyfriend was at boot camp, I only received about 7 or 8 letters, and that's actually probably a little bit more than most girls will receive, because I've heard girls who have only gotten like 4 letters throughout the whole boot camp, or I've heard girls who have only gotten like 2 letters throughout the whole boot camp. It really just depends, I guess, on your boyfriend and what his training is like. They can only write to you when they have their own free time, and they can write to you when they can. So my boyfriend tried to write to me as much as he could, but sometimes he got super busy. And in his letters, he would say, "I'm sorry I haven't written to you in a couple weeks, you know, these past couple weeks have been busy." And let me tell you one thing, when you receive those letters, it's like one of the best feelings ever. It definitely made me the happiest seeing letters in the mailbox from him. It was always awesome because it was very rare. Like every single day I would come home, check my mailbox, okay, no letter. Check my mailbox, okay, no letter. I wasn't mad about it. It's just like hoping, okay, maybe today, maybe today. And whenever I would open that box and I would see a letter, whoo, girl, I went crazy. I would get the letter, I would run to my room, I would open it, I would read it, and I would cry. Yes, I would cry. Even if he didn't even say anything emotional, he was just talking about his day, I would cry because you know, it's a couple weeks of not being able to talk to him. It's a couple weeks of not being to see him or know how he is. So it was a little worrying, but you know, it's definitely something you can get through. One thing I could definitely say is that if your boyfriend is in boot camp and you feel like you can't go through it, you feel like you no longer have feelings for him, or you feel like it's not something that you want to do anymore, do not Dear John him. Dear John is when you send your boyfriend a breakup letter, basically. I would understand that some girls just don't want to do it anymore, some girls who just don't feel the same anymore, but I would say definitely wait until after he has graduated boot camp. This whole boot camp thing is definitely more of a mental thing than it is physical. I mean, they do get put through a lot physically, but it's a lot mentally that they have to prepare themselves for. It's a lot mentally that they have to get through. So I would say never send someone out a Dear John letter, because it could definitely unmotivate them. It could definitely make them sad mentally, and that's definitely not something you want to be doing while they're out there in boot camp, you know, doing all these things. So I would recommend, if you aren't feeling that relationship anymore and if you don't feel the same, just wait until he graduates and then talk to him and be like, I need to be honest with you, I'm not feeling this anymore. But you have to suck it up for a little bit, as much as you don't want to. You have to suck it up for a while that he's gone, and you know, then speak to him. Do not Dear John him when he's gone, because that's gonna break his heart. It'll break his heart, especially when he's there. Another thing I want to bring up is family day. So when my boyfriend was at boot camp, he did get a family day, which was 2 days. It was a weekend, and we were able to fly out to Georgia, Fort Benning, and we were able to see him for 2 days. And that's another thing that helped the letters and helped time fly by, because we're like, only 26 days until we get to see each other. Only 14 days until we get to see each other. It was another thing that kept not only me, but also kept him motivated. And time would just fly by from then on. And when I got to see him family day, it was definitely one of the best feelings. I got to see like a little ceremony, and then we got to say hi to him. And it was definitely a bittersweet weekend, because we got to see him for 2 days, and then he was back to basic for another, I think it was another 4 or 5 more weeks that he had to go. So it was definitely bittersweet, but it was so good to see him after so long. It was so good to be able to spend time to him after long. We were able to talk, we were able to take pictures. Family day was definitely one of the best days out of that boot camp. It just was really hard, not only for me, but also hard for his family that I went out there. And it was also hard for him because, you know, you get to see him for 2 days and then he's gone for another 4 or 5 weeks. So definitely keep him motivated as he's as you guys are together. You know, just say, you guys got this. You got through this much time. All you have is this much time to go through. I'm sure that there are a couple things that I am leaving out. I think that this is just my experience on how I got through boot camp. But the main tip that I would say is, keep yourself busy. And that's probably the tip that every single person would give you who has been through boot camp with their boyfriend. Keep yourself busy. I promise you, it'll make time fly by. And next thing you know, your boyfriend is back. It's something hard to get through, but it's not anything that's impossible. So I think that is it for this video today. I just wanted to say a couple things about my boyfriend and my experience at boot camp. I'm sure there are a couple things that I left out, and I can't think of them at the moment. But you know, if you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below or DM me on Instagram or Twitter and ask me any questions that you do have. I will gladly answer that in another video. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm hoping to upload a lot more on this channel. Maybe not all about being an army girlfriend, but you know, maybe some different things. I don't know what. I don't know yet. But thank you so much for watching, and bye.